200 people here, so amazing job. That just shows you where Poland is on the map. All right, so I've got amazing speakers here. I've got Jacob, Paolo, Tomas, Yura, and Yuchin, and I'm going to let them quickly give an introduction about who they are and what their role is to just show you the level of amazing expertise that we got in this panel. Let's start.
Yeah. So hello everybody, it's a pleasure to be with you here. My name is Tomek. Currently I'm building two products, GameSwift. It's the whole ecosystem for gaming on the blockchain, and the second one is Star Heroes. When we are building a 3D multiplayer shooter. Of course, during development of these products, we are struggling with many security challenges, and I hope I will be able to share my knowledge and experience with you.
Hi everyone, my name is Pavel. Some might recognize me amongst the others as a co-founder of the Synapse Network. In the past, I was building planes, banks, and right now I'm in the crypto, so hopefully I can join all those experience that I had in the past to bring you the biggest value possible.
Hello everybody, I'm Jacob. I'm working in hardware, so we are a Web3 cybersecurity company. Like in short words, we are trying to hack blockchain, smart contracts, and everything around it. So I'm responsible for protocols for written in Rust in hardware, but actually some point. Yeah. That's not my fault.
Your mic has been rugged.
Yes. Sorry for that.
They should have hired Alvaro for the security, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, so actually we are like working with almost every technology, Web3, with many chains, many protocols. And especially I'm responsible for the Rust-based protocols. So, thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Yura. I'm very happy to be with you here. I'm from Sertora. We're doing something which is called scale formal verification, but in simple words, we prove correctness of smart contracts. Here, so basically we have all these DeFi protocols, all these Web3 protocols to make sure that the money of the users, the money of the depositors is secure. And I hope to share some stories about all kind of bugs and all kind of issues that we see with Web3.
Hi everyone, my name is Yu Chen. I am leading the security team at TrueFi. TrueFi is an uncollateralized lending platform with over $1.7 billion of loans that have gone out. And we've made sure that there's no hacks to date.
Oh, wow. All right, well, yeah, good job. All right, good. So, let's just start with that. How have you made sure that there's no hacks to date?
Sure. So I think a lot of this starts with really developing and encouraging an engineering culture that cares deeply, deeply about writing good code. So we practice things like test-driven development. We make sure that there's heavily scrutinized code review, pretty much line by line, for everything that gets submitted. And then beyond that, we work on things like getting external auditors and making sure that they're very good external auditors. I talked about unit tests. We write unit tests for everything, make sure like every single execution path is tested. Integration tests, something that we might call active tests, where we fork the mainnet and kind of simulate what would happen if we were to operate on that fork. We use formal verification, invest pretty heavily in that, as well as running a bug bounty program.
Right, okay. Now that's a lot of stuff that people that are not crypto natives and come from different industries and areas of society, that sounds like you're speaking Chinese. You know, that sounds like a completely different language here. But he's actually just talking about the high level of security necessary when you have these complex financial instruments and environments, all right? So let's just make a bridge here. And maybe Paolo, I know he would like to, he's an expert in this, of transitioning from Web 2 to Web 3 environments. I mean, what's a person or a company, what do they need to know? What do they need to think about, especially in terms of security in making this transition, and why is it important?
So the first thing to remember while entering the Web3 space, and you have already working Web2 services or offering, and you would like to enter the space, is to be aware that you will enter into the market which is much smaller. The total addressable market is much smaller than you used to on traditional market, because you are approaching people that understand how to use MetaMask. So my grandmother, for example, don't understand, my mother don't understand how to use MetaMask, so you don't want to exclude those people. And you can optimize those services and you can optimize this business model by tech solutions like custody approach, etc., which involves high security requirements. Because if you will take on you responsibility for holding digital assets like NFTs, crypto, or anything else that you would like to have in future in your protocol, in your service, you are taking responsibility for the people, money, assets, etc. So you need to provide a high level of security. That's why it's super important to do a couple of things. So if you have the tech team, and that has been said like a second ago, you need to test heavily. Why? Because once deployed on your technology, once deployed onto the blockchain, it cannot be changed. So if you will have some money put into your application on the blockchain, it cannot be changed. So that's one super important element. Another one is to have security audits. So this is super important and much more important than audits on traditional markets and in traditional tech. Why? Because again, you cannot change that. And the last element that you should be aware of from the standpoint of security is to choose chains, protocols that you want to work with or integrate your services with that have been audited or have proved their security in the past. Like there were a lot of hacks on cross-chain protocols that were exchanging assets in between chains. Why? Because a lot of stuff has not been audited in the past, or a lot of elements of those services has been centralized and as well has not been audited. So this is super important for you to remember if you want to switch or enter your Web2 business into Web3.
Wow, that was great. Okay, and another thing, you want to?
Go ahead. I just want to add one thing to thread security as a process during your development, during doing your IT business or your blockchain business, not as a task from one to one, from one audit to one audit to another audit to second audit, but to trade security as a process. So during the whole process of development, of testing, and all the related things like that, always you should keep security in mind. And it doesn't matter if you are doing Web 2 business or Web 3 business, security is always a process and it never ends.
Okay, great, excellent. And does anybody else want to chime in on that or add? Okay, great, because I think that there's a lot to unpack here a little bit, so we'll unpack this a little bit further. One of the things that Yu-Chan said was about external auditors, right? He said it's a really important process. But one of the questions that I have as a let's say a company building a new DeFi protocol or whatever, a new platform or app, how do I choose this? What's the criteria to choose these external auditors? You know, does anybody have advice for people that might have an app and they're looking to find external auditors?
So in the first place, you need to look for those that are, well known in the world of security. You can verify that they have, different things, awards, they are on conferences. That's the first level of verification. Another one, you need to read about the hacks and the security issues that have happened on the market in the past and see who was responsible in those projects for security review and exclude those ones. So we had a lot of hacks that have been of the project that have been audited by a certain company starting in C, and that means that they are not paying attention to a lot of stuff. Sometimes they are not doing this enough deep dive into that. So I would do this, and also another element is to rely on the opinions of the people you trust. So there are a lot of experts in the market. In this room, we have a lot of founders of crypto projects that were going through the security audit process, and they were working with different companies, and they can share the experience. So this is very important to rely also on the others in this space, as the space is still very small. So those would be my 3 tips for the people to choose a proper company.
Great.
In my opinion, you should not stick with one security audit company. You should choose for the first audit one company, for the second audit another company, because in this companies related to security works many different people, and every people look in another way, and in the smart contracts, in the software. So it's very big probability that if the first auditor did not find anything, probably another one from another company will try to look and find something. And in my opinion, it doesn't matter if it's a big company or it's a small company. We should give a chance everyone. So if you trade security as a process, you should take, for example, for the first audit, some big company doing the development of your software, and when you will be ready to another audit, maybe give a try to the small company. And I think, in my opinion, and based on my experience, it is very good approach.
Okay, great. Now, security is a hot topic in crypto right now, isn't it?
Yeah. It is.
Yeah. Why is security such a hot topic right now?
A lot of money disappeared that has been hacked from a lot of protocols. Over $2.5 billion have disappeared from different places. So yeah.
Good. Over $2.5 billion. And we know that even the best systems can be hacked, right? As a matter of fact, I've met a guy who hacked the FBI, a long time ago. Even the FBI can be hacked, and that's all back in the old days. So a lot of people say crypto is especially vulnerable to hacks. Why is crypto especially vulnerable to hacks? First of all, maybe Jacob, if you want to jump on that question.
Yeah.
Jacob, sorry.
Yeah, actually, the problem here is that maybe it's the problem at all, but actually in crypto, almost all is like public. So a lot of projects are using public repositories for code. So it's not there's no problem to like read every function, even build a testnet on your local network and try how it will looks like trying to break something. So I think that it could be the main reason of why it is very often why there's a lot of hacks now, and even we saw that usually hackers are waiting for a project to grow and earn more money just to hack it in the proper time, I think. So
Okay, interesting. All right.
I would like to add two things to that. So one thing is because a lot of projects are writing a shitty code. And this is true. A lot of projects are bootstrapping very fast. They're launching the project, they're starting to generate TVLs and other things, and they are not paying attention to all the things that we have just said. So that's the first problem. And another problem is that...
Pay attention.
Yes, pay attention. And another problem is that we are very early in with our space.
Yeah.
This is early 20s when the dot-com bubble has happened, and a lot of stuff during the dot-com bubble were
volatile. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have been hacked as well because there were no tools, there were no proper processes. This was Wild West. And this is the same place where we are at right now with the crypto space.
Okay, excellent. So we have two things there. We have one, that the public-facing nature of a lot of the data, and then so if somebody can also touch on public-private blockchain differences, that would also be interesting. But I think you have something to say, and you have some experience in this area.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that because of the public nature of the Web3 protocols of DeFi, basically users deposit a lot of money to these protocols. And
Can
some
you-
of them
Can you put your microphone closer?
yeah, some of these Web3 protocols, some of these DeFi apps hold billions in TVL, in total value locked. So basically, you can think about it like a huge box filled with money, and it's in a public square, and there is a lock, and it's free to try to break the lock. So it's like it's basically like a hacking competition, international hacking competition, and the hacker who succeeds takes all the money. So it's very in this way Web3 is different from Web2, because in Web2 you can just break into a server and steal billions, but DeFi Web3 makes it possible. So that's why in Web3 you have to be much more paranoid. The security process has to be much stricter, in my opinion.
Okay, but so now, in your experience, you work with one of the major security companies in the world, right? Certora, and you're a top-level person in the field. And it's a real privilege to have you here amongst all these other superstars. But you've had some experience recently, is that correct? In a major hack that was. Would you like to elaborate on that and why it happened and how people could prevent these kind of things?
Luckily we haven't been the projects that we've worked with. They haven't experienced major hacks.
Oh, sorry. Okay, maybe I was misunderstood.
Basically we help to prevent bugs in Web3 apps before they go to mainnet, before they go to market.
Okay.
So how we work with clients like True Finance, we audit their code before they launch it. So we basically help secure the box before they put it in the main square.
Is that essential to do? Would you say that's essential to do, or just highly recommended?
It's 1,000% essential. Like if you don't do that, if you don't employ all the possible security layers like testing, auditors, internal tools, multiple audits, there is like 99% probability that the protocol will lose money, and it's a disaster.
And this makes it difficult to, just to come back to what Pavel was saying about these bootstrap projects, because a person who's bootstrapping a project might not have that extra finance at the beginning to afford these multiple audits from experts such as yourself. Let's put ourselves in the shoes of that person who has to bootstrap, who has a great idea, who's got maybe some money to develop the tech, but they just can't do the multiple audits. How do they solve their problem? How do they go about it? What would you suggest to that person? Because there's maybe some of those people in the room.
So I will start, I guess. I would like to add one thing before I answer this question. So the problem that we have also with this space is the clash of the security layer that we all talking to provide for your project and bootstrapping. This is the opposite thing. A lot of projects are bootstrapping and don't have time for doing this stuff. But the main tip for that is to implement this into the development process. So then you can bootstrap thing, and all the time within the process you have a couple of steps that require from you to verify the quality of the code you're writing. There are automated tools that can help you with doing some kind of like static code audits, so you can check this out. You can use them during the development and deployment process, and that would be my tip, and this is exactly what Tomek said at the very beginning, because this is super important, because then you don't need to pay attention like as a separate element, security as a separate, it's built into what you are doing.
Integrated. Go, continue.
I have another suggestion for that. So there are some websites which kind of bug bounties websites. Basically what happens, you can offer your code for independent reviews by any freelancer, and you offer a bounty. The bounty can be $1,000, it can be $1 million, and there is all type of bounties. But basically, even if you're a small protocol, you can put your code in Code Arena, which is one of these bug bounties websites, and basically you pay for people to pay attention to your code, to look at your code and point to vulnerabilities. Of course, the more bug bounty you put there, the better people, the more attention you will attract, but you can start small.
Great idea. So we got two things. One, security, looking at security as integrated into the whole of your project. And two, relying on these kind of incentivization systems like bug bounties, which are really part of what Web3 is all about in general. I just got 2 more questions, right? So we'll keep it light so everybody can get back to drinking. Because I know the panel wants to get back to drinking too. Right? Now, what about the hacks that aren't, technical hacks? Let's just face it, most people that are hacked are scammed. There's phishing attacks, right? Does any of your projects or companies, so you have all these type of different, you hear about it all the time, and some people in the room, some people out in the web that are watching this, I'm sure they've gotten hacked. Basically, you're actually not part of, you're not part of crypto unless you've been hacked at least once, right? You've had to have your Ethereum or Bitcoin stolen, and I have as well. Well, do any of your companies or initiatives address these issues? And if not, is there a technical solution? Do you think that a technical solution is possible to stop some of these scammers for non-technical attacks? I know it's a difficult question.
So I would say that do your own research would be one of the most important things if you want to use any kind of protocol or something like that, because at the end...
Or if you want to avoid answering the question, let's put that on the website. Do your own research.
Two things about this, because and do your own research does not mean that you only are trying to check and read the white paper, but you are looking for the people, as I said previously, trusted people that are talking about this project, trusted people connected to this project, to build confidence for you if you should use it or not. And as we can see, like 95, 99 probably % of those scams never had and never were connected to any trusted people from the market. And that thing would probably allow 99% of the people that have been scammed within those projects not to be scammed.
It sounds like a lot of security has to also do with reputation. And that's the same thing that we look at in, the world as it is, the Web2 world or whatever. A reputation makes sense and credibility, it makes sense. But I think, Jiten, you wanted to add to that.
Certainly. Actually, can you hear me? Yep. Okay, perfect. So I think there are many solutions that you can take from the Web2 world, and one of them is this idea of having compliance within your organizations. So they will help with training up your kind of data hygiene or just ability to be able to notice and prevent prevent hacks. And I think this is very valuable and very important. So that's from the perspective of within a company. But then if you're looking outside toward clients and toward users, a lot of the times you do get to interact with initial users on a one-to-one basis. And in these cases, you can provide these, this expertise that they may not have, and say, hey, these are some of the top recommendations we have. If you want to self-custody your assets, we recommend things like a hardware wallet, Ledger or Trezor, and then how to manage your seed phrase and things like that.
Okay, hardware wallets, things like that. There might be a couple questions from the audience related to that, and I'm looking forward to audience questions as well. But I got one more last question that's quite interesting to me. It's about this Ethereum Merge that's happening in like 2 weeks. Proof of work, proof of stake. Is Ethereum going to be secure, first of all, after this merge? And what are the implications of this merge to security? And also, is proof of work more secure than proof of stake? I know it's a broad philosophical question, but I've just wanted to know this forever. I know that's my opportunity to ask the experts. So the merge, is it going to make Ethereum more secure or less secure? And should I look for proof of work chains as well? Are they more secure? So anybody want to address that?
Actually, in my opinion, the best answer is it depends. So, from the perspective, from the perspective of security of the whole ecosystem, like 51% attack, for example, it should be more protected because changing to proof of stake will allow for like creation more validators, more nodes, so it will be potentially much harder to just like create a potential attacker which will hold more than half of whole Ethereum like stack. So it's almost impossible, I think. But from the other side, if in proof of work, let's say if you are like very rich guy and you want to be like a very big miner, for example, you have to spend like a lot of money on creating your own infrastructure. It's still theoretical, but actually, like for example, Nvidia has some some amount of graphic cards which they can create and sell. Yep. So it's really limited how much you can buy actually. But in case of proof of stake, if you are rich enough, you can buy really much Ethereum from the market. So from this perspective, the best answer is depends. So.
Okay. Yeah, everybody can chime in on this one if you want to. It'll be the last question for me.
Well, one important thing, so everyone understands what's the difference between proof of work and proof of stake. So to start with it, so the difference is that proof of work is that we are providing power to the network, and proof of stake is about the ownership of Ethereum. So besides the one that will have more Ethereum. So as a colleague said, if you have enough money, you can attack the network because you can afford to buy a lot of Ether. And it has been seen so far, I don't remember which kind of study I have read like a couple of weeks ago, that in Ethereum blockchain, 57% of the mining power is in hands of like 4 organizations.
I heard that, yeah.
You know, and in Bitcoin it's 3 organizations. So that's, and providing electricity and the power is much harder than buy Ether from the market. So that means that from this point of view, it's much easier for the rich, big guys with big capital sharks to be owners and decide what happens in the blockchains and to do, for example, a rollback and 51% attack.
Okay, excellent. Anybody else want to chime in on that?
Maybe a couple of words. Sorry. Okay. From the user perspective, not going into deep technical details about infrastructure, protocols, and all other stuff. If you are trying to prepare for the Ethereum merge, please do not take any additional moves with your wallets, with coins which are airdrop on your Ethereum addresses, and try to incentivize and most probably scam you when you try to connect, because maybe you would like to get some additional awards from this project. If you're aware of how to use exchanges, maybe it will be more safer for you to, for example, exchange ERC20 tokens to the Bitcoin, because the whole merge is related to Ethereum, not to the Bitcoin. So if you think what to do and how to secure your money, your cryptocurrencies, and you do not want to go into deep technical knowledge, maybe try to exchange your Ethereum or ERC20 tokens into Bitcoin and stay safe. Wait, for example, for 2 or 3 weeks. After that, the whole things and all the rumors related to this merge will calm down, and you then will be able to back into your Ethereum on your C20 you had previously.
That's good advice. All right, so invest in Bitcoin. I've never heard that before. No, but I think it's good advice. Continue.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that when the merge happens and the proof of stake becomes the canonical Ethereum, still the proof of work chain will continue working, and possibly there will be a few proof of work forks. So like you said, it's very important not to rush into stuff, not to try get those airdrops, because you might lose a lot of money for a very small reward. So it's very important to be cautious, not to chase all these different forks, and come down, wait a bit. Maybe you will lose some small airdrop, but it's much more important to to secure Ethereum on the main chain than rushing after all these kind of rewards and airdrops on some kind of short-term forks.
All right, a little bit of patience. All right, great. I think that we have a very good discussion. Thank you so much, everybody. But also, I think there's some very good questions from the audience. I'll just go around. I'll just manage this myself.
Thanks all for a great panel. I wanted to go back to your question, particularly keeping accountable the security and audit firms and some of the incentive alignment. And I kind of help draw kind of a parallel to what we've seen in TradFi. You know, when you hire Big Four auditor for 7+ figures, if something goes wrong, there's a concept of like a recourse and a liability. There's a reason why no one knows what Arthur Andersen is these days anymore, because they were the ones auditing Enron. And I know fundamentally security and audit in Web3 is primarily different, but I wanted to get the panel's views on, are we going to ever see instance where these auditors will actually offer some form of either insurance or liability, or that will kind of never really happen because we're still too early? Thanks.
So it's going to happen. Two things. Regulation we require from the companies to do so. So you will have on the market products that will do an insurance for this kind of events. And in Europe we have MiCA regulation that will be implemented like within 1.5 up to 2 years, and it's going to regulate the whole market, security, utility, and stablecoins. Like yesterday or 2 days ago, I have read that the Senate, the US Senate, started to push hard to provide regulations on the US market. So probably the rest of the world will follow that as well. So that will make two things happen. So it's going to be much harder for the business to start on the market because you need to start from regulations point of view. So you need to fulfill all the requirements. And one of those requirements is going to be protection of the customer's money. It's always like that. If you're a regulated entity, you need to protect money. And the protection can be provided by the security measures and everything, implementation, and also by having some kind of insurance or the bank guarantee fund or something like this. So it's going to happen, in my opinion, for 100%.
Hey guys, thanks for the So my question is, in your opinion, what will it take to have the Web2 level of security for end user in Web3? Because right now when you are signing any transaction in MetaMask, for example, you are just signing a bunch of jumbo bytes, and you do not really know what it's really going to happen, right? So yeah, I'd like to know your opinion on that.
So, in my opinion, when you are building your cryptocurrency or blockchain-based project, you have some audience, so community around it. So it mostly depends on you as a founder or as a builder of this project or as the owner to teach your community how to use it, why it should use it like that, so in the security way. And I think for now and at this moment, the main responsibility for the user security are on the builders and founders.
So I would like one thing to that. So Tomek said from the user's perspective, and I think it's the problem we have is called responsibility, because founders and companies are building. In Web2 you have security because they are paying attention to the security. In Web3 you don't have security because they are not paying attention to the security. That's the problem. We all, as a builders, need to focus on this and not to release, as I said at the very beginning, shitty code.
Hello guys, so thank you very much for having you guys all with all those insights from the developers knowing the security. So my question is from the project point of view, what is the insurance that the project has when it decides to give this or this company credibility to have the review on your code? What if the hack happens after the review? Is there any insurance insurance provided by the company afterwards?
Simple answer is no.
Okay, thank you.
I go for no.
Great to know.
Maybe to elaborate.
Because of different responsibility, I think that the companies like Harbor, for example, the biggest cost from their side is reputation. So, like they cannot, they don't want to like give back money to you as a project, because actually it's almost impossible to say that your project is in 100% like safe, because there's like many dependencies which like could be break to like the many places which could be hacked. It's not only like code, it could be like people, yeah. For example, like in running bridge, the code was not so bad at all, but the social engineering, very advanced social engineering, and like bad security practices, no security awareness in team, like so from like companies like Harbor perspective, as I said, it's no way to say like your project is secure and will be in the future, because actually even when I'm doing project, like during the testing time, the company is making like 10, 20 or more commits. So I can say that this is secure in this time when this commit was like made, and after that I can say I don't know it actually. So what did you change and how it looks like now? So
I want to add a little bit on the topic of insurance. So this is still very much a new and developing field, which is why a lot of insurance companies don't have the statistical models to be able to tell, over this amount of time, with this, this level of security review, these are the rates at which hacks will be occurring. They're still very much developing this, and I was at a conference last weekend at Stanford where many of these, insurance companies were asking, security tools and auditors in the field, like when we're going to be able to have enough stability to be able to insure. And it looks like it's coming soon. Some firms are starting to say, hey, if you've passed, this level of bounty with our audit contests, then we're willing to offer you, your company, let's say $10 million of insurance against theft.
Yeah, maybe.
Go ahead, last question.
Yeah, thank you guys for the panel on security. It's actually
Not this time.
it's always a concern. It's like increasingly more concerning with more TDL on chain. I have a question on the upgradability of smart contracts and how it's what is the best pattern for actually making sure your users are protected from a security standpoint, and whether upgradability is a good security practice or a bad security practice. I'll leave it at that, but I want just to frame the context as the Nomad optimistic rollup. They made it really bad. They did a bad upgrade, which then was vulnerable for a hack, and Uniswap does no upgradability for the different versions. So I wanted to just set the stage for that question.
So, first answer, you have a couple of patterns. You have proxy smart contracts. You can add functions to smart contracts to communicate to each other, so you can always change the address to which smart contract calls to another one. And there is a new wave of blockchains, L1, like Plasaga, for example, that is right now all around the world on different events, who are implementing upgradable smart contracts. So I will not give you an answer if it's a good practice or not, because it depends on the use case at the end and what you want to achieve, what kind of business problems you want to solve. But there are a couple of different ways how you can achieve that. And the next generations of that, this is what I see of the blockchains that are being created on the market, are trying to solve this problem, because, for example, U.S. regulator requires such a thing from them, because they need to have audited track of changes in the code and business applications that they would like to utilize for themselves.
themselves.
Yeah, and I'll add a little bit of color from our company here. We think of upgradability as a kind of necessary evil that you minimize as much as you can. And the places where you might use it are places where you have significant amount of user state that is difficult to replicate. So a lot of users have deposited into this one particular contract. But also recognizing that by adding upgradability here, you are opening yourself to this possibility that if someone were to be able to hack into that mechanism itself, then that would lead to an entire total loss, right? Yeah, so we put extra emphasis on kind of scrutinizing and securing these particular contracts, and then the ones that are not upgradable, which tend to have less user state, we will provide a little bit less focus to that.
I think that smart contracts that are upgradable are good when you are at the beginning of your process development, because you are now then bootstrapping, talking with community, maybe not all the features you are aware of at the beginning. So to add something, it's okay, but you have to be transparent with that, that your smart contracts are upgradable. It would be nice if there will be some time lock after this upgrade will take action on chain, and your community also should be aware of, so we can tell, okay, I can upgrade the smart contracts, I can change it to whenever I want, but I'm able to do this after, for example, 24 hours, and between and before this time remain, the people from community who are not agree with this upgrade can withdraw their funds from this smart contracts. So from the technical perspective, it is okay, but when you look at this as a community member, it also should be with transparency in mind.
Fantastic. Now, our panel members are going to be available, outside afterwards, I think, for any other questions. So, if you have something specific really burn on your heart about security, then make sure to ask them out in the networking time. But right now, we're going to move to the final part, and it's something that I like to do. Not everybody does this on Crypto Mondays. It's actually something that pretty much only me does, but it works because there's been some amazing things. I got into Web3, one, because I saw my friends, some of my friends that are these high-level experts moving into it, like these guys that are super smart guys. I said, well, if they're moving that direction, I ought to move that direction. And then the second thing is there's a ton of creativity and amazing startups, amazing ideas out there, more amazing than any other industry, any other space that I've ever seen. So what I like to do on Crypto Mondays, and we've had some great pitches and great startups that get funded right in Crypto Mondays when they pitch. I like to do a couple of random pitches from the audience, and I love to have our panel hang out for a few minutes and just listen. So I'm going to open up the floor, and you raise your hand, and I'm going to call up a couple of random people if they want to pitch something. All right. So, all right, you right here, the yellow shirt. How about you? What you got to tell us?
Okay, thank you. Based on this conversation on how early stage we are, I would like to tell my story about my project. And this story and about our road we are going for the last for the last 10 months. We are observing probably one of the largest transformation of digital goods. Of course, I'm talking about the metaverse, but this transformation, in my opinion, is balancing on the edge between the game, commerce, and of course, this is what we are calling metaverse. But everything is around about the goods, about the items, about the asset, about the things, what we can use it in games, in application. And the story about my project is how to deliver to the market and for the developers, user, and content creators the tools which can give this asset, this goods, interoperability. Because when we are talking about the metaverse, when we are talking about the game, there is no one metaverse, just like there is no one game or e-commerce application. So if we know that there's a lot of applications which try to dealing with this kind of experience, user experience, we need to agree that without interoperability of this asset between application and between the games, this metaverse and application, this transformation would not be happening. So how we see this needed on the market? For developers and creators, bunch of tools which allow them to create objects, assets, and move them between the application. So we decided almost 10 months ago to build protocol. Yeah, it's also an issue for security, and we need to deal hardly with this part. The protocol where content creator can store the asset in the centralized database, because we are on this crypto business, blockchain business, so we don't need to deal with these things on the centralized way. And we also decided to build on top of that in the market, which combine NFT with this asset stored in this decentralized database. All these assets will be available through the SDK and API for the developers. So, in my opinion, it's a changer. Because right now we are dealing with NFT. NFT connected with rendered files. Of course, we can use the NFTs, we can use this what is stored, this what is linked in URI, and we can see in wallets, and we can see on blockchain explorers. But developers can deal with this asset which is really connected with NFT. This kind of protocol, an SDK, an API, which is connected with this, allows them to use not only NFT, but also use the things, the goods, which are stored in protocol. The market is also some kind of tool for developers where they can create their own app, show the customer what kind of asset they are using. So you can, I don't know, looks on this like on a Steam on Web3. Because we also see that it's not only the problem with dealing with digital goods, but it's also a problem to transform Web2, how we call it, games or application to Web3. It's difficult to understand for the user, and it's difficult for the developers to provide their user to the system. Of course, we have a lot of wallets on the market. They are dealing with crypto, they are dealing with NFT. But in our opinion, they are not dealing with items like we want to provide on the market in the strictly connected items with NFT. So this bunch of tools which we are provide right now is protocol, market, and wallet, extended non-custodial wallet, extended of dealing with digital goods.
Great, okay, so we've got a lot of tools, it sounds like. What's your name?
Michał.
Michał, all right, and I wanted to say, give it up for Michał for coming up here. All right? And it's difficult, especially if English is not your first language, to come up here and, give a pitch, especially about a new product. Now, if somebody is interested in this, how do they, no, stay up here for a second, how do they learn more about what it is your product is? Is there a website, or do they come talk to you? What's the stage that you're at right now?
MetaProWallet.com.
MetaProWallet.com.
There you can find information about the wallet, and on the MetaPro protocol.1 you can find information about the protocol, and on 7 October there will be official launch of this product on Poznań Game Arena. It's the biggest gaming event in Central Europe, and also on Game Industry Conference we will pitching this this product, so you are invited and welcome.
Great. Okay, so it looks like, I mean, he's addressing a major issue, interoperability, and NFTs and gaming. So if you want to look for it, tell us the name of the website again. MetaProWallet.com. All right. Great job. All right. Thank you very much. We have time for one more pitch. Awesome. All right. One more pitch, and we'll try and keep it to 2 minutes, right? We call it a New York minute. All right. Anybody? So what do we have? Is there any females that have startups? So like that. Not in the region. Okay, there's one. All right, we'll just give it to one because we have to have a 50-50 rule. All right, tell us what you got.
Okay, so my name is Victoria, and I'm actually a founder of.
Close
Is
up.
it working?
Yeah, just put it close to your mouth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm a founder of Web3 onboarding startup, which is called Enigma, and probably lots of you like being asked from your friends lots of questions like related to Web3, and I know that like I've done tons of cost dev, and this is really common. So imagine this case when you have only one link to send to these people instead of all these endless explanations to them. What is Web3? What is a wallet, and etc. So Enigma is basically a single entry point for no coiners to Web3, and it is a no risk, really safe environment, self-paced and completely free sandbox for such people transferring from Web2 to Web3. And if we're talking like about the product, it looks like a demo for the Web3 environment where a person can try the most popular cryptocurrency operations and find out blockchain use cases, actually. So I'm just gonna model how it works. A good example of that is when you create a wallet. So let's say we simulate this flow of wallet creation. And the first step is to create credentials and then to generate your seed phrase. And then some kind of user journey, we simulate this fake window, let's say on a phishing website, where it is asked, the user is asked to enter his seed phrase. And he does that and he loses all his like imaginary tokens. And by this case, by this mistake on practice, the user learns that it's not safe. He understands like the consequences of his actions. So this is what Enigma is basically about. And we have like 3 founders. We have like our stage of the product is really early. We are prototyping and we are like starting the development process right now. We have 3 founders. We have background in crypto, in ed tech, and also in marketing and creating products. Our target audience, this is Web2 people who are employed in tech, who employed in online industries such as like e-commerce store owners, for example. And why this project is important is that there are lots of onboarding opportunities for developers in this space, and actually for regular people just like me. I was a head of marketing before. In Web3 industry, in Web2. So the problem is that there are only like 2 or 3 programs out there to enter this space. And we'll try to solve this.
Great. So what you're doing, and it's amazing, right? Because people are talking about, all right, how do we get adoption and onboarding people? You hear this over and over and over again. Well, education, and you said your parents, like, how do I get my mom to use MetaMask, right? Right? And she said a sandbox, whereas there's literally no risk.
Yeah, there's no risk, it's free, and it's some kind of a public good for people to enter this space and to test how it works.
Right.
Like, what is it? What's crypto? This is the main
oh, well, this is an amazing idea. I mean, I've heard all kinds of stuff all kinds of great ideas for different cryptos and coins, but what about some real solution for bringing people from the real world to the crypto world? A lot of times people in crypto live in a bubble, don't they? And so what she has is a solution that's actually going to bring people into our bubble. But through a fun way. And I like that. You have simulation activities where you simulate even getting hacked and things like that, where you understand more of that. Maybe you could even collaborate or partner with some of these great organizations that are here, especially since this is a public good. And I know that all these guys up here obviously care about that. So would you have a website at this point, or is it just you and these other two people?
We have like a website like 0 followers Twitter, 0 followers Twitter. So yeah, you can just follow and see when we'll have updates. So it is denigma.xyz.
Okay, how do you spell that?
It's D-E, like enigma, like
D-E-N-I-G-M-A
dot XYZ.
dot XYZ. Denigma.xyz. All right, this is a really cool idea, really cool. We're not used to hearing these kind of pitches, but I'm so glad that I called you up here, actually, because this is a really awesome idea. Let's give it up.
Thanks.
And last but not least, I met this amazing man, and this is not random at all, but I met this amazing man at the ETH Warsaw conference, which is exactly what these conferences are about, meeting amazing people with amazing projects. And he's actually got a real estate project to enable people in developing countries to actually buy their own homes and have 3D printed homes. And he's got just a really quick announcement to make. I want to bring you up to the stage, introduce yourself, and give your announcement, my friend.
Thank you, Josh. Hi, everyone. My name is Anders Asmus. I just flew from Toronto, Canada, and I'm delighted to be here. Basically, it's not really a pitch. What I'm doing is a call. I do believe there is great talent here, and I'm looking for software engineers that can help us to improve and build this product. I do believe that people do not buy NFTs, do not buy security protocols. It's still very complex. And what we're doing exactly is providing an alternative where people can invest or have access to real estate by fractions. If we take a region like Latin America, 650 million people, there is a metric where a woman, when they get divorced, only 10% they qualify for mortgage. So it's a huge problem, and I think housing remains a very complex problem. Not everyone has the luxury to have a house. Not everyone has a luxury to have a proper housing. So in regions like Africa, Latin America, where I was born in Colombia, but I'm lucky enough to live in different countries. We think that DeFi might be an alternative because banks are not looking to solve this problem. So I know that you already heard those kind of things, and the term is tokenization. But what we have in mind here is to operate engineers and build a product, but basically what we're doing is deploying from Toronto the operational side. So I'll be happy to have discussions with some of you if you are interested on it. Thank you.
Amazing. Amazing to see social projects. So if you're interested in these social projects, please get a hold. I want to thank you for everybody coming out to Crypto Mondays, and I really want to thank Maya for organizing this. It's amazing. She's done an amazing job, and she's got even some surprises. So thank you for staying a little bit longer because we went a little bit over time. But thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you once again, everyone, for the attention. Thank you, Josh, for hosting. I wanted to thank my team, specifically Łukasz, and all the experts. And without our sponsors, we couldn't be here. So Matt from Egera, Tom from NextBlock Expo and Blockchain Venture Hubs, Shimon from HashUp, Michał from MetaPro, Darek from Winect, Philip from Cookie Free, and Vicky from Hey Edu. Thank you so much. Now, really fun part. We have a surprise quiz for you. You can scan the QR code.
Can we participate?
I want to participate in this.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
It's going to be their job.
Okay, working. And you can read NFT. Let me.
Join?
Yeah.
Oh, we got to put our code in. 853.
Once again. Wait a second. Okay, this is the code. Okay, guys. Everyone wants the dance. Should we wait for someone?
Nice competition. Challenge accept.
Oh, Vitalik is with us.
Okay, everyone is in. Can we start? Yep. Let's go.
Answer questions?
What?
What do we type in?
Wait a second. So, do you see questions?
Uh-oh. Oh, man.
And Apple is going strong.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I need help.
Jesteś 10.
You know the answers, man.
I don't know the answer.
11. O, 6. Witalik cię wyprzedził.
Oh, jeez, that was dumb.
What excites?
Oh, that's cool. Oh man, I'm gonna just lose. There's no way I'm gonna win, and I'm like,
Questions over and over.
No, the same questions?
Yeah. Over and over. I'm seeing a third round.
Yes,
All the same questions, so I corrected my mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. Endless loop.
I think I should change okay, I think for now we can stop the game because Actually, the questions are repeating themselves, so sorry about that. But I think we have a winner.
We have a winner!
Sachi.eth. Congrats. Congrats for MetaGuild and Michael Israel for second and third place. So, Sachi, I think NFT is going to you. So yeah, if you want to connect and see what we are doing, you can visit our website. And thank you so much. We have some time for networking and asking all of the questions that are left from the Q&A panel. Thanks once again for the experts and the host. Happy to host you here.
Okay, yeah, put the red button on screen. Oh, and guys, one thing, there's open bar, but we just ask that you, if you have a little bit of small change in your pocket, just to make sure to tip the bartenders because, you know, they're not getting paid anything like normal. So if you have a little bit of cash, drink all you want, but, and thanks to the sponsors for that, but give a little bit of love. You know, that's what the crypto community does.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hey guys, can we get a picture together? And can you put the screen on the main screen with Crypto Mondays?
Let's do this. I will move this one.
Yeah, we didn't even. Oh, that was for the streaming. Yeah, great. All right, thanks a lot, man. Thanks, guys. Great organization.
Thank you, man.
Guys. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Let's get in this.